We've noticed a change in this, haven't we?
What's important, I think, for us to really look at is consumer behavior.
That's how we react as humans. We want it fast, we want it now.
And if you're still using the same marketing tactics, the same messaging, the same approach to that consumer from 10 years ago, you're missing out.
The consumer out there is thinking, there might be a better alternative.
We've found the institutions, we've brought them together in one place. And all of a sudden, you're instantly going in with 6, 7 offers, telling the person who wants to sell their house that I have 6, 7 offers right now. Hello, friends. We're back. This is the Real Estate Consumer Shift, and I am Jason Wells, here joined with
Tim Evans, and we got a pretty cool segment today. We're going to talk a little bit about the market and segments of the market and how it's responding and what it's reacting to. And as an agent, what do you do, right? And it's an interesting time right now, but I think we got some really good tips and some insights here. Again, this is really focused on the consumer, but as real estate agents, Jason, that's what we're here to do is help.
Yep, we have to understand what's going on with the market, because if we understand what's going on in the market and can explain what's going on with the market, then the consumer who is living in the market recognizes us as an advisor, as an authority, as somebody who can help solve their pain points, as we've discussed. That's what really has to happen. We have to be solving their pain points. And here right now, I hear a lot of people talking about their what they think that this next year is going to look like. They think that this next year we're going to see things pick up. I hear a lot of people saying if we just get into the 5s, then we're going to have this mass sell off and stuff. Maybe not. I guess we'll see. I'm not one who believes that. I believe that prices on homes have gone up enough that even getting into the 5s won't be enough to release the amount of pressure we need. Yes, we will see activity pick up, but it's not going to be like a return to 2021 kind of stuff. That's not going to happen.
I don't think those days are nearby.
I don't either. And I think the way to look at it is, you know, there's the winter is coming, and winter is coming was last year. Winter is here.
Right.
We are now in winter as an industry, and we're in a bit of a recession as an industry.
We're in a home recession.
In a home recession is right. Not the rest of the economy, but in housing, we are in a recession. And that means the consumers are living in that with us. And so how does that affect the consumer? How does the consumer feel and then have confidence with or a desire to participate in the real estate industry when sales aren't what they were over the last, say 5 years? They're really slow, comparatively speaking, right now. Prices are up. The inflation's up, so they have less money, and interest rates are up. We all are dealing with that, and that's why winter is here, because there's a lot of people who can't transact and just having to stay on the sidelines.
That's a great point. And what you mentioned to me before, I think adds warrant to go ahead and share that information is the younger generation. They are not looking at home ownership the same way like our parents did, or like even
it was the American dream, right?
Yeah,
home ownership has always been the American dream.
Baby boomers,
Yep.
People moving out after the World War II into the suburbs and home ownership, and that's my father always instilled that in me to not be a tenant but own a home and build wealth through owning a home. But it's a little bit different now because the younger generations, and you pointed this out in a minute, just really resonates. They're looking for the fun, the entertainment.
That's right.
So explain that.
What I've heard it recently described as like the millennial and Gen Z. They're more about the experience, right? Creating memories and experience, living life to its fullest kind of stuff. And that's not right or wrong. The difference between I value buying a house or I value an experience isn't what we're talking about here. That can be your value system, and that's not up for judgment. But the reality is that the millennials, the Gen Z, they are not buying homes at the pace that Gen X and baby boomers and the greatest generation were buying homes. And as a result, they're slowly getting priced out of the market. Because what we have, if you look over the last 5 years, prices have gone up, affordability's gone up because price and interest rates have gone up. As a result, they don't have the money unless they change their lifestyle, what
habit.
Normally we've called your disposable income. For them, the disposable income in a lot of ways forms their livelihood and how they do it. And so to give up some of that would be to change their livelihood to be able to buy a home. And the cost benefit hasn't quite reached it there. And when you think about money, this is an interesting graph I came across from Keller Williams. Gary Keller does a vision speech. This one is on inflation and its affordability perspective. Since the year 2000, it shows how commodities and how industries have gained in price or decreased in price. Would you guess that the number one increased thing is hospital services? Hospital services have gone up 240% since the year 2000.
It's crazy.
The lowest on this one that they show is TVs.
Have gone down.
Since
In
the year
price.
2000, TVs have gone down 98% in their value. And I can remember that. I remember when I graduated from law school, the flat screens and LEDs and LCDs were a big deal. So I graduated law school 2008. And one of the things I got was this nice big 55-inch LCD. That thing cost like $4,000.
And you couldn't hardly lift it.
No, you couldn't. It's heavy as heck.
It had a flat screen.
Yeah. But that same
Jacob,
size
do you remember
TV?
that? No, Jacob. Yeah, we're talking to you, Jacob.
He's like, what?
Jacob's our producer.
Did they have a tube on them?
He's an awesome golfer. He lives a wonderful lifestyle. And how old are you, Jacob? 25. But no, Jacob's got a good head on his shoulder. He gets it. But we were having this discussion right before we sat down, and it's interesting to know that the lifestyle
is a big deal.
That, I think it's this too, Jason. I was okay being house poor when I bought my home. I was like, okay, this is gonna hurt. I was scared to death. My mom, which was a real estate agent, she was the one that wrote the contract for me and signed it right there on the countertop. Forged my name, says, you're buying this house, no matter if you like it or not, you're moving in it. And that's how it worked. It was like, oh, well, and that time it was $92,000, and it was everything I had to make that payment and then some. But I was okay with it. I mean, honestly, after all said and done, I was glad that she knew it was right, and we leapfrogged and started getting into other homes beyond that. But I was house poor, but then it didn't matter. That was just how life was then.
And that's what it was. That was more of the lifestyle. That was more was expected.
I wasn't hanging with my friends.
There wasn't cell phones to buy. There wasn't computers to buy. There weren't these toys to buy.
I got married.
Those things didn't even exist.
Yeah, and I was married young. The part of just, tying the knot and getting married. It was like it should be, as I thought at that time.
Right.
But it's a little bit different now.
It is. It is a bit different. And again, this isn't about value judgment. This is just, that's the way it is.
This was just true facts.
And part of that, what that causes is a look. I said, okay, well, what's the savings rate right now? The savings rate is amongst the lowest we've ever had. Since the year 2000, the savings rate has been about 5.2%. Historically, going back to like the 1950s, it's closer to 10% is the savings rate. So the average now in this century is half of what it has been. And right now we're only at just over 4% savings. So that means we're not saving as a society. That's just not millennials, but as a society, we're not saving nearly enough money that we would need to be able to even purchase a home, because we are spending the money on experiences and on memories. And those have been the things that have become of more value to us right now instead of home ownership. Good, right, bad, wrong, or indifferent, doesn't matter. But that's the reality. And if somebody wants to get into home ownership, those are the places they have to change. They have to change the savings rate, and they change that by changing the what quote disposable income that they were spending. You no longer get the macchiato 2-shot double espresso with foam whipped cream. I don't even know. I don't order those, so I'm just making up words. They don't order those every day.
Right.
Whereas right now it's like, nope, that's what I do. I get those. I enjoy it. I've worked hard. I deserve it.
Right. There's a great case in point. Mike, who used to work for me, he no longer is on our team, but long story short, this is about 7 years ago. He was a young man, about 26 years old. He was looking to buy his first home. He came up to me and says, Tim, I think it's time to buy my first home. And I said, okay. So at the time I was still showing a few homes, and I went out and I showed him several homes. And where I was taking him in Gilbert, Jason, he would just snub his nose at it. And I couldn't figure out why, this is a nice home, Mike, you should be buying this house. And he's like, no. And so I get them close to downtown Gilbert. Now if anybody knows of Gilbert, Arizona, I've been to, that's like a downtown Scottsdale, downtown
nice
Gilbert.
Walking way, shopping.
Very vibrant restaurants, and there's eateries and bars and
the water tower.
All of the Joe's barbecue place. I mean, it's just lively. I showed him the home that was a quarter of a mile walking distance from downtown Gilbert. We looked at the home, and then he walked and paced off and said, "This is where I want to live." Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, and we talk about that, just hit me just as we were just talking about this. It wasn't about the home.
Nope, it wasn't.
It was because it was the experience.
It was the experience.
It's sitting right there.
And that's such a great example, Tim, because as agents now, to bring this into our real estate arena, as agents, we need to be very cognizant of what it is and why it is that somebody is considering buying a house. And we need to not project our values and our beliefs and our needs and our thinking of what you should do onto them, and instead listen to what it is they want. Because a lot of these generations, I'm at the tail end of Gen X. I'm almost a millennial myself. Experience is a lot of what when I think about things, I'm like, no, that's true. There is a lot of experience, a lot of the treat culture that is infused into my life, but I also have a lot of the Gen X stuff because of just, I was born in the late 70s. So it's very interesting how that is changing, and we need to listen to them so that we can give them what it is they want. That's what knowing what the consumer is all about.
Yes. And if I wouldn't have, just luckily, and I didn't pick the house. It just showed up on my search, right? As a real estate agent, it's like, okay, this one he told me what he's looking for, 3-bed, 2-bath, something newer.
Right.
And it just happened to land there.
Yep.
But it hit, and the deal was done, but it was experience.
It is the experience. And there's something called a buyer consult. Many of you out there have probably heard in the importance of doing a buyer consultation, where you're going to sit down with your buyer and go through a needs analysis. What do they need to have? What do they want to have in the house? You ask them, why are these things important? Because you're looking to uncover all of that stuff, right? That is part of it. We often, though, get lost in the needing to find the house at 3-bed, 2-bath, 4-bed, 2.5-bath, 2-story, north-south face, whatever, right? We on the things of it. We have to remember too that as humans, we move off of emotion. We will buy off emotion. Unless I'm an investor, I'm not buying off of the exact square footage and things like that. I am buying off of how it feels and what it's going to do for me, just like Mike did.
Yeah.
So Mike, you could have had all that conversation that he wants to be close to things. The house itself, like how put together it was, or if it wasn't actually much of a deal once he got there and the emotion starts to take over. We need to tap into that more often. So think about this, agents. This is something I was thinking about. You all have a buyer out there who's not willing to move right now. Right? They're like, I'm going to wait for things to come down. I want rates to come down. I want the housing market to crash. Well, we could spend 3 episodes talking about how that's just not going to happen. Be that as it may, though, their belief, their perception is that it's going to crash. All right? Okay. So what would it look like if you took that buyer, instead of trying to talk to them and show them the facts and the figures about how things haven't changed and how we've just had nothing, we've only had appreciation in the past several, recessions and et cetera. What if instead we were just like, you know what? Cool. We've talked about these being the things of your house. On Saturday, I'm going to come pick you up and we're going to go look at some houses. No obligation. Let's just go have some fun. Just go look at some houses. And you get them out to go look at houses. What's going to happen?
You're more likely going to find the home, and it's just not the 3-bed, 2-bath, but you're going to find the home in the area and the lifestyle that's going to speak to them. And I've showed homes, so many of them throughout the years, and they see a park or they see neighbors out having fun and they're socializing and they want to be a part of something.
They imagine themselves there because they want it.
Yes.
So this emotion changes in them, right?
Yeah, and like you said with Soki, there's no obligation. Let's just go out and let's go out and let's do some window shopping.
Yeah.
And if it's just be fun just to hang out for the day.
Yep, I'll come by. I'll bring your favorite soda, whatever. I'll drop by, get your macchiato, latte, triple, whatever it is. I'll bring it, and we'll just go check things out. I guarantee you what's going to happen is two things. We get stuck in our positions. And when we are stuck in something, have you ever sat across from somebody and they're arguing and they're just dug into their position and they ain't moving, but then something interrupts the room and you go somewhere and you come back and all of a sudden it's changed? That's because there's two things that drive that for us. That's our state of mind and our physiology. So if my state of mind is, no, I'm not going to buy, or no, I'm not going to go out, and I'm sitting there, my physiology is stationary, my state of mind is stationary. If I say, all right, well, that's cool, we're going to go out and look, you're going to get that person up and their physiology moving. Their state of mind is going to start opening to possibilities because they know that cramped 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with 5 kids isn't working for them. And now they're standing in this 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom yard, all this stuff, and they're going, oh, this ain't so bad. This might work. And the kids are excited and they're thinking, well, maybe what would that be like? And they can see the park. All of a sudden their state of mind begins to change because now you're getting the emotion going of them.
Amazing. Back to Mike. So I get a call from him the other day. He said, when I bought this home, it was great. I had a lot of fun downtown. He still enjoys it. But he says a lot of that wears. It wears off. Mm-hmm. So he says, I'm now in this 3-level home and the stairs are just getting to be a little too tired. So he's getting ready to get married. And he said, it would be nice to go find a single level home and where it wasn't so congested. It's funny how things change.
Yep.
Nothing is ever the same as you progress through life. So that's why now Mike's a good friend, a very close family friend. That's why when you do have a client and you close on that client and you in the transaction, that it's just not a past client. There's somebody like family that you keep them connected. Do you have that Amazon shopping platform that always is where they're in and that you're nurturing them? And whenever that change in life happens, like Mike getting ready to get married, he didn't want from where his, front little room is to where his family room is to where his master bedroom is. You gotta, it's 3 stairs, 3 flights of stairs. Yeah. Well. Yeah. And it was because he bought the home. It wasn't the perfect home. I think he knew it deep down inside, but it was because of the lifestyle.
It was the lifestyle. And here's another thing to that, Tim. Think about if he hadn't bought that, the house that he's looking to go buy now with getting married and going to have kids and stuff like that would be further out of reach had he not bought the home. Right?
And my mistake was I was showing him thinking that's what he wanted initially with that kind of home when I first started showing him. But it wasn't that home.
It wasn't.
Not in that area. Anyways.
So it's real fascinating that. And so now back to the fact that winter's here and there's fewer deals out there. We're gonna see a tight inventory. How do you survive? Exactly what we just talked about. Those are the conversations you need to have. Those are the actions you need to take. When somebody's thinking about buying or not, get out of the head space. We spend so much time on the X's and O's, the square foot,
2-bath. 1,500 square feet.
Yep.
And I can't find it, or it's there, or the buyer's saying, well, it's going to be coming down any month now.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And what you just said was, I think, a perfect segue. Hey, let me just come pick you up. Let's go out and do a little window shopping. There's no obligation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
It'll
buy
be
you
fun.
your favorite cup of coffee and we'll go hang out. And it's like when you go buy a new home. When you go out to the county, let's go out and look at some new homes. Let's just see what's in them. I haven't been, and next thing you know, what's happening. You're buying a darn new home.
You're buying a new home. So it's not so much that there's not people out there here in winter that won't buy or sell. It's that we just need to know how to talk to them.
Yes, exactly.
We need to help them uncover the things that they want. And we need to be able to deliver those things that they actually want, not just the things that they think they want. Right?
Great.
What they need, not what just they want. There we go.
Great segment, Dave. Great podcast. I hope folks got a lot out of that. We continue to talk about consumer behavior, and we always will. But these are things that I think go pretty much not noticed, right? Mm-hmm. We're sort of programming our way, and we got tunnel vision on.
Yep.
And there's other things going on around us, and if you open up and you get outside of the normal, the standards of how we think, and look and shift in some paradigms, it's amazing what you can uncover.
What opens up.
And the opportunity that flows in and around that. And that's what we try to uncover for everybody every week is to think different, right?
Yep. Think different.
I got that shirt on.
You're even sporting the shirt.
I got the shirt on.
Think different.
Yes. Think different.
There it is. And that's what we challenge all of you to do with the Real Estate Consumer Shift. Think different. Follow us. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and I think the kids say smash that button or hit the bell and smash the subscribe button, something like that.
Yeah.
And if you're listening on any of your podcast stations, please subscribe, and we look forward to speaking to you next time.
See you next week.